Hey y'all, before we get rolling, if you run a nonprofit, this is for you. Comfy Stone just released a free 90-day donor retention checklist to help you keep more donors through authentic storytelling. Get your copy at comfystone.com/checklist or click the link in our show notes. Now let's dive into this week's episode.
Missions by
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Missions by You. I'm Brenna with my co-host Maya, and we're here today in the studio with Noam Platt. Noam Platt is the founder of Make Good NOLA, an extremely innovative nonprofit that creates assistive devices for individuals with special needs, disabilities, and chronic conditions. Welcome to Missions by You, Noam.
Thank you, Brennan and Maya. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're so excited to have you. I mean, we've been tinkering off video for a minute. So what is Make Good to start off, and what inspired you to found this organization?
Thank you. So I say we're the most innovative nonprofit on the planet, and nobody has so far challenged me on that, so I'll continue saying it. We're a nonprofit that focuses on design, and we focus on design for and with the disability community and design of assistive technology. And assistive technology is any device that gives somebody a little more independence in their daily living. It's a pretty wide definition, but the items we have here are all really low-cost assistive technology that are used for a whole variety of tasks, from eating to drawing and getting around.
Amazing.
I started Make Good really because a local family reached out wanting help with their son who has cerebral palsy to make a chair so he could use the bathroom more easily. I didn't know that that's a really complicated project when I kind of jumped in with that project. My favorite architect author says it takes 7 years to design a chair, and he's not wrong, and that's just for a regular chair, not one that has to do lots of different things. So I worked on that for a few years, and it's actually still in development. But when I started this work, I realized my background as an architect kind of gave me the skills to do this work, and so I started doing smaller projects, things that we could get done quickly, and just scaled from there.
Oh, fascinating. So you had a background in architecture, building and scaling buildings, and then went into smaller scale devices.
That's right. Yeah. I worked with one of our partner nonprofits, Tom Global, and we did some like hackathons, assistive tech hackathons. And at those, I kind of realized that it's a transferable skill set between architecture and assistive tech design. Less so like the actual design drawing, like yes, the CAD is important, but really more so the working with people, the soft skills, working with people, working with groups, have different backgrounds, communicating clearly. Those are the real things that you need to do this kind of work. Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to find this connection, because I feel like as someone who has had family members that were disabled and having like not ever navigating certain things and those challenges, like for somebody who doesn't have that experience but sees their skills as transferable in that way as well. Like this is such important work because you don't know what you need until you're like, oh, my family member can't lift a spoon anymore. They need that assistant.
Yeah, and I think certainly there is a kind of strain of within different nonprofits of like, oh, we're doing this to help this community, where the way I've come to be taught from many of our community members who now work with us from the disability community is like, well, I'll be disabled at some point. Like I'm temporarily non-disabled, right? That's a temporary state. And there will be a time when I will need all of these tools in my own life. Yeah. And I personally want to live in a world where all that stuff's already designed and really good and readily available.
Readily available is also key, right? Because like I think of this and like things I had to get from my dad or my grandmother, and it was like, well, once that break, how long it was to like get a replacement part.
Right.
For those pieces.
Yeah,
right.
You think anything is viable until you have a disability, and then it just doesn't exist.
No, yeah.
Yeah, the commercial market is missed a lot, and it's not done a good job filling in a lot of these gaps. A lot of these really simple, like writing devices, and you can use the same devices, like you said, for feeding. You can put a spoon or a pencil in here, right? It's just a grip device that enhances grip. You can't even get something simple like this or buy it. If you can, it's usually like $50. So it's there's this whole like disability tax that gets put on people
Right.
who are already financially strapped, having to deal with the medical system, to then have to afford this stuff is really difficult. Yeah.
Let me tell you how annoyed we'd be if my grandmother's spoon, her special spoons, went missing. Like, who last had it? You know, it was a fight because they're expensive and like we can't lose them
Yeah.
because we want her to continue to be able to feed herself.
Right. It is like non-optional, these devices.
Yes.
And our whole philosophy is that, you know, we're living in a new world now with technology, especially 3D printing has evolved to the point of it being really good. Even since I started Make Good, it's you know, by multiple degrees gotten much better and easier and cheaper. And now we can focus on what we've figured out at Make It is if you focus on really good design work, making and fabricating the items is actually really simple and really easy and very inexpensive. And so we invest in the actual design work to come up with these shapes and forms that actually work really nicely. And then to actually 3D print this is like 10 cents, right? But it can have a huge effect on somebody's life.
yeah.
And so we view 3D printing as the real key to make this whole process work. Yeah.
Game changer. So I think we have to talk about the biggest 3D printed item on our table.
Right.
You just launched the toddler mobility trainer.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about this piece?
Yeah, absolutely. So a toddler mobility trainer is a device for kids aged like 1 to 8. It's kind of like a wheelchair, and it's really to train them to get used to moving and maybe graduate to a wheelchair, like a proper wheelchair at some point. We used to make them out of wood, and so we work with like Tulane and other schools to use their maker spaces to make them out of wood, and they worked really nicely. And they're very popular. We probably made 40 locally over the past few years out of wood. But wood has limitations, right? It's kind of hard to work with if you really get into working with wood. You need a lot of machinery, you got to sand, all this dust and everything. And we had made, you know, about 30 to 40 toddler mobility trainers, and we kept on getting requests for them. And people kept on asking. And the reason is like a lot of kids who need these devices, they get denied through their insurance to get them. And there's not even many commercial products you can buy that are like this. Like they just don't really exist. There might be one or two that are out there that are a couple $1,000s. And that's in the US. In other countries, they're non-existent, right? So the original toddler mobility trainer was designed by our friends, like I mentioned, at Tom Global, who I kind of started this journey with. It's a really great device, and it still remains to be a really good device if you're really good at working with wood and have all the skills and tools to make it.
Yeah.
What we decided at Make Good, I was kind of sitting in our studio and being like, I guess I'll have to buy all this woodworking equipment. You know, I was like pricing everything out. But we already do a lot of 3D printing. And so I was wondering, and I kind of I put out the challenge on Reddit actually of like, who can help me turn the wood version into a 3D printed assembly? And of course, people on Reddit are so helpful, right?
Always. They're so nice
They're
and so
nice
helpful.
and never doubtful. But one person did raise their hand and say they'll give it a shot. And that person is Skylar Livingston from the industrial design company called Link out of Colorado. And he's put his heart and soul into doing this, and it shows. Like it's really an incredible, fully 3D printed device that works really well. And it's not just kids who have like chronic conditions like cerebral palsy or spina bifida. I mean, yes, they need this and benefit from it. But what we found is there's a lot of kids who need a TMT who maybe just spent a lot of time in the NICU when they were born, the ICU unit for neonatal children. And when you're in the NICU, you just sit there. You're not moving and developing. So when they get out of the NICU, they're just underdeveloped. And they need something like this just to get them moving and their muscles developing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not a clinician, but our clinical, we have, you know, a whole group of clinicians we work with. You know, they've talked about how movement development leads to mental development, which leads to social development. So it's really important to get these kids moving. So this can be printed on a regular consumer grade 3D printer. We like Bamboo Lab machines. They're a sponsor of ours, and they revolutionize consumer 3D printing. It's to fit on one of their cheapest models, the $300 A1 printer.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's all you need to make
How
this
big
whole
is that
thing.
printer, just for
It's
reference?
like, it has a build volume of like 10 inches cubed.
Okay.
So the whole thing is like maybe this big.
Wow. So no part on this is greater than 10 inches.
Right.
Cool.
So all the pieces will fit on that bed, and then they're all connected with kind of this Japanese woodworking style joinery, using pins and what's called a scarf joint, which is something I was taught learning, into this really rigid assembly. And the advantage is if a part breaks on it, there's no glue, so you can easily disassemble and repair or upgrade the chair as the design continues to develop and people add new things to it. Yeah.
Wow.
I love the idea of upgrades to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've pioneered some really innovative techniques like 3D printing these straps, which is really cool. They print in a coil on the build plate, so you can do really long lengths on a small area, which is really cool.
And then you just cut them to the size.
Or you just print them to the size they need to be. And then this seat actually, this one-piece seat fits on a bigger printer. So there's a version that fits on the smaller printer, but this is a foaming filament called a foaming TPU that's just like really, really soft, compressible filament. And the whole goal between everything with this whole device was you already have the 3D printer. How much of it can we make fully 3D printed?
Wow.
Because you already have that one tool, and you're already using that one tool. And
so how much can we accomplish with that one tool before having to step outside?
Before having to go sew cushions, before having to go add different skills to the build. And that was really born out of the experience with the wood one, where you needed like 5 skills to do it all. This, you really need 1 skill. And anybody, and if you're listening out there, you have the skills to run a 3D printer. It is not complicated. The new generation, actually, you could print this whole thing from your phone. Like you can send prints from your phone directly to your printer, and it just works.
Wow.
So it's a whole new world we're in, and this device is according to the people at Bamboo Labs, who we're good friends with, they're like, this is an expression of where the technology is going as far as the ability to make really complicated devices.
Wow.
But that anybody can make. That's the whole point. We want people out there in the world to make these.
Yeah.
So we released this 2 weeks ago, I think. And it does take some time, and I'm starting to get, pictures in my email of 90% done chairs, and like people are there. It's working. They're putting them together. Yeah. It's really exciting.
What ages does this the TMT cover?
So about up to 8 years old is like the most. It depends on the size of the kid, right? So some kids are smaller or bigger. But as far as a weight limit, like I've stood on this chair and it doesn't crack or break or anything.
Okay.
So like it's very,
sturdy.
It's very sturdy. The material is called PETG. It's a widely available 3D printing filament, and it's very strong, UV resistant, and it's plastic. So like you can stick this in the water park, right? And it's not gonna and everything's
versus a
plastic.
traditional chair,
versus
you
the
have
wood
one.
Or even a wood one, yeah.
Or a metal one, which might
Wood one.
corrode.
Right.
There's really just a handful of metal parts on this, just for the little caster wheels and the bolts and things.
Yeah. Which again are easily replaceable. So if they did get wet,
Right.
you switch them out.
Yeah.
That's right.
I could talk about this chair all day. But
I know,
what
it's
other
really cool.
Devices,
It's really cool.
What other devices is Make Good working on right now?
So this is a really neat device. Our director of design, Phillips, is quadriplegic, and he developed this device because he can't grip really well. And so when I met him, he was dropping his phone everywhere. And so we worked together with this, and he came up with this device to easily hold your phone hands-free. And he uses this all day, every day. Digital access is really important. And so this is a really neat way, and you can try that out, to hold your phone. And millions of people need something like this, right? And this is an illustrative device for me because it begs the question that, like, why didn't the people who make your phone make this device?
This is,
it's very simple. It's not complicated. And I think it's just a lack of curiosity sometimes by, once again, the commercial markets don't really understand this stuff, or they need to be shown it, I think, in a more real way. And I think they're coming along. But there's a lot of work to do. And so this is a really, really simple device that uses a magnet from Amazon and 10 cents of plastic for digital accessibility. This is another really cool device. This is to learn Braille. And so you can 3D print this traditionally, or we actually have a very generous volunteer in Baton Rouge who prints these on a much more advanced machine.
Oh, wow.
That's a powder-based process called SLS. but is really, really cool. So these all link together, and you can make long paragraphs, and you can kind of make a whole array of Braille. And then the idea is your teacher sets it up, and you read it, and then your teacher will reset it. So we developed this with the New York Public Library. They have what's called a talking book library, which is their kind of Braille library and services group. And they tell me that every weekend they get together and have like a Braille reading group, and they make this huge array and play Sudoku with these, which is just, it sounds amazing. I'd love to go join them one day.
Wow.
But a really neat device as well. But this is really just a small selection of our kind of repertoire. We've done over 300 custom designs, and we do a lot of one-off work. You know, we do a lot of one-off things that aren't as easily repeatable or shareable, I guess you could say. Like we did a custom walker for a patient at Ochsner. You know, that was a long design process with lots of different custom parts and materials, and we really like those kind of projects too.
Can you tell us about the card stacker?
Yeah, so this is, if you look online, you know, on Maker World, where the 3D printed models are for like Uno card holder, you'll find these kinds of things, and this is kind of our version of it. But it's really designed to play cards with, because you can just stick your playing cards in here, and it's all hands free.
Right.
And so once again, just really simple and a good example of like an assistive technology that we could all benefit from. You know, we all can use these devices. You don't have to identify as disabled or have any issues with your grip to utilize these.
Yeah. Well, also, but like you said earlier, you don't know when you'll find yourself disabled.
Sure.
So it's also good to know these things exist for if you like have hand surgery and like need to help rebuild your strength in your hand, things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of my best friends was going through nerve issues, and she was constantly dropping her phone. And I can imagine her, even though it was a temporary issue in her life that is on the up and up now, and we're thankful for that. This, I think, would still help her. I mean,
Absolutely.
when I think it would help us when we're like 60 and have been on our phones for 40 or 50 years, you know, and our hands are cramping. Like this is, I imagine myself needing that in my life for sure.
Or just to avoid that overuse of like, I now know I use my phone. I keep my hand in this like
grip.
Yeah.
I'm cramping
So much. Like
Yeah.
to give it a break and be like, alrighty, I'm gonna
Yes.
like hold it this way now.
Yes. And a lot of these devices, it's like we mentioned, they're non-negotiables for a large part of the population, but they're also just pleasant for other parts of the population.
Yes.
They just make life easier to live for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Real quick, guys, did you know it can cost up to 7 times more to find a new donor than to keep one you already have? That's why at Comfy Stone, we created a free 90-day donor retention checklist. It's simple, step-by-step guide that shows you exactly what to do after someone donates. From how to thank them to how to tell stories that keep them engaged and giving all year long. You can grab your free copy at comfystone.com/checklist or click the link in our show notes. All right, let's get back to the show.
And for us, it's really like we wanted to show people that this is not hard work to do. Like designing stuff like this is not that difficult. Even if you're not into doing CAD, there's other ways to do it. You can even use Play-Doh or something like that. But the bar to entry to do this kind of design work is so low nowadays. And then if you want to easily just download all of these designs, they're all on Maker World for free. You can download them for yourself and go donate them or use them yourself. And we're constantly encouraging people to like make all of these and try them out. And that's a really good way to just familiarize yourself with like some design concepts we use specifically for 3D printing, but also just the methodology of thinking about these things. What we're always trying to do is like what I call solving the main problem. And our director of communications, Ashley, one of her projects, and I didn't bring the exact little device, but this kind of relates to it. When I first met her, she said her biggest issue was that her seatbelt on her power chair, she used a power chair, would fall on the ground. And then she has to spend like 15 minutes twice a day fishing it off the ground, right? And when she asked her therapy team, like her physical therapist was like, well, you need to learn how to stretch more on your left side to grab the seatbelt. Her occupational therapist was like, here's a grabber, like a little reacher claw. You need to carry it with you everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But like the real problem was that there was nowhere for her to put her seatbelt on her
I
chair.
feel like there's got to
There needs to be a little dock.
Why
right?
should she have to carry something in addition,
Right.
or why should she have to reach over
Stretch
that
herself.
Yeah.
So we designed a little dock, and that took like an hour to do, and the problem was solved. Right,
Yeah.
like an hour to design it and print it. And so there's a lot of problems like that are easily solvable by anybody out there.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit of creativity and understanding that. So I didn't bring the actual little dock attachment, but it has an accessory port in the front of it, and me and Ashley have been working together to design more accessories for her power chair. And so we had a summer design program at Make Good where we paired people with disabilities with students and clinicians, and they worked on teams to invent new devices. And this came out of that. So this slides into her armrest on her wheelchair, into her seatbelt dock, and then this is a tray table for her that folds up and out of the way.
Wow.
And it folds down, and she has like a cup holder.
Yeah, and you can play with that. And when we put together a prototype, and she sent me a picture of it that evening with a plate of food on it, and she said this is the first time she was able to watch TV and eat dinner at the same time. She's living the American dream finally.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, once again, pretty simple. What's really cool about that is that joint is all prints in one piece.
Yeah.
So it's a print in place, what's called a print in place joint that is one assembly but has moving parts within it.
And this is where the armrest piece would go into
The
here.
armrest is like right here.
Right
so like
here,
comes
okay.
off the end of your armrest.
Gotcha.
And we have a whole line of accessories that fit into power chairs now.
Wow.
For multiple different brands of power chairs. So the table's been really popular because you just can't really get anything like it.
No.
It doesn't exist. And but for about $15 of material, maybe a little less, you can make that yourself.
This is really cool.
This is very cool. And what I'm hearing is that you get a lot of inspiration for new products to influence the design process from the people who need them themselves.
Yeah.
What other influences do you guys take when you're trying to design a new product?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Like every project we've done is a request from somebody who asks us to look at it. And actually, in my file structure, how things are named, it's like people's names in front of the devices.
Oh,
like this is
wow.
called like Ashley's table, and like
Lovely.
how we name our devices. So really, I try to approach each of these projects basically with no preconceptions, because I don't do a lot of like looking to see what's out there. I mean, I certainly see if like, hey, maybe there is something simple that they can buy that'll solve their problem. And there's cases like that. But when I go to design a lot of this stuff, I start from that main problem and kind of work backwards. So there are some things like this tool and this tool in particular. We work with another organization called Makers Making Change, who does similar work to us. They're a Canadian organization. And they had this pen ball. This is our first pen balls I made were from Makers Making Change. And they were pretty cool, but they printed in two hemispheres. So this ball printed kind of as two sides that you then had to bolt together. There were like 4 bolts. And then you had to use bolts to hold the pens, and you had to have a screwdriver every time you want to change it out. I probably made 50 of them, and a couple summers ago, I was just getting so frustrated, finicky with it. And so I just sat down at the computer and just started redesigning it for modern 3D printing. And I started by cutting the ball in half. And I was like, well, why do we need 2 halves? Like, we can actually do it all print in one piece. This just prints by itself, and then the screw prints separately. And so I do a fair amount of taking assistive technology that might have been designed 15 years ago and kind of bringing it into 3D printing world. And allowing other people to then reproduce it. Yeah.
Well, and with new technology always changing, it's like something that wasn't capable 5 years ago is like a breeze now.
Absolutely. And this chair is the best example of that you couldn't make this when I started Make Good. That you could not get the printer good enough to make something like this.
Wow.
And if you could buy one, but it would cost $20,000 to $50,000, right?
Oof.
And now that same printer is $300.
Yeah.
And so that's really the difference. And the most exciting thing for me is with using 3D printing is like you said, as the technology gets better, our abilities grow with it, which is really fun.
It's also got to be frustrating when you have a device that someone who is not yet disabled has to help you fix, and then that person is even getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect there between like the equipment that is being marketed to folks and their ability to even solve their own problems.
Yeah.
And that's really like Philip is a really good advocate for other people who are disabled to learn this stuff themselves and to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Because 3D print is actually really accessible, right?
cool.
Because if you can use a computer,
It is. It's now more. It's just like using a regular printer. Like once you
it's
have
if
the
not
file,
easier, in my opinion, sometimes.
I have a very temperamental Canon
Yeah.
printer at home, so
So like you don't have to have any manual skills to use a 3D printer, right? And the couple physical things you have to do, you can easily ask for help, or it's like very straightforward, right? Loading filament or something like that. And so it is a very accessible technology, and we're seeing a lot of what I think is the best outcome of this whole thing. We're seeing a lot of disabled designers and makers creating their own stuff and sharing it, and it's really cool. And I think we're just at the start of this kind of revolution in assistive technology. I think you're going to see a lot more people. I certainly have seen a lot more people, especially students, become interested in the field, doing more projects like this prosthetic and making them better and better and better and pushing the design forward. Yeah.
Because when we get more people like you, where like your background isn't necessarily in healthcare or anything, but like using those skill sets to invest into creating these applications, like we get stronger, better applications, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
It's all about creativity. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Is like using the tools in a new way, and it really doesn't take a lot to make a difference. And as I kind of keep on going back to that little wheelchair doc, buckle doc, is like you can spend an hour with somebody and fundamentally change their day-to-day life by doing a little project for them or with them. If you go onto Bamboo Lab Maker World and read the reviews for this device, there's 4 or 5 of them that are people are like, I'm able to write for the first time in a decade, or like I made this for my coworker and it changed his whole outlook on life because now he can participate in the daily work stuff. And it's like a 5-cent piece of plastic with that. And but no, what really is it's about the design and about the intention that went into that, and then the fact that it's shared openly and freely. That's what really creates the change. But the ceiling to do that is low, and anybody who's out there thinking about getting into invention and entrepreneurship, I have no issue with people patenting stuff and selling it for a good price. I think it's great. Like we need to have thriving commercial markets as well as open source stuff like this to change how people get assistive technology.
Totally.
But if you're a student out there or anybody who wants to get into like product design and selling and doing e-commerce, like the disability technology is the place to do it. There's been so little design work done up to this point that there's like a huge opportunity for people. And in almost every field, inventing something new is like a multi-decade process. You got to go get like a PhD or something. This you can do in like an afternoon. And I've seen it done, and I've seen other people do it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So where can people access Make Good Designs?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, makegood.design, there's links to our open source repository, which is on Bamboo Lab Maker World. That's the Bamboo Lab site to download the files. You don't have to have a Bamboo Labs printer to download and use them. Any printer will do. But we use their site, as well as makegoodshop.design if you want to buy these from us. We just started selling the past week or so. We try to keep everything very affordable. I think each of these is like $10 or less. And you can also get these awesome T-shirts there as well. And
merch.
also, and then 3dmobility.org is actually the home for this project.
Okay.
And this is a real true DIY situation. We have the build files. There's a build video actually featuring Master P putting this chair together. It's really a good time to watch. Yeah, you should check it out. So definitely check that out. And then hopefully soon, we're still working out the details. We'll hopefully be able to offer this as kits. So like all the pieces printed that you can buy and put together yourself, or even just the filament and all the hardware as a kit that we think we can get to about $100 as we're working with some vendors overseas to try to get the price down. So there's a few different places, and then our main social media is on Instagram, Make Good NOLA. And if you're really, really interested, reach out to us. We have a really cool studio at the beach at UNO as well. That's where we have our print lab. We have about 20-ish printers there, a bunch of other design tools as well.
Cool. I'd imagine any of this software would be really easy for a high school makerspace or like a middle school makerspace.
Yeah.
Have any schools contacted you that their students have started on like these projects as their first learning tools?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we work with a lot of schools. We've worked with a bunch of different schools over the course of Make Good, universities, high schools, and middle schools.
Cool.
What happened in the past, first of all, the 3D printing changed so much in the past few years. It's like they're all trying to get into it because the printers are so much better now. But they get the printers and then they make like 2 Baby Yoda figurines and they're like, what do we do now? You know? And so we kind of point them to be like, hey, here's a catalog of really cool stuff that you can make and try and
Right.
donate and check it out. And so we've had a lot of success with that. There are definitely some schools making this as well as kind of just a project to see. Yeah.
Wow.
But what's really neat is like that the kids these days, you know, they're growing up with this technology in a way where
wild to
like
think
I grew
about.
up with the internet was like the
Yeah.
thing we grew up with, right? We go to a summer camp every year for kids with disabilities called Camp Dream Street. And we bring our printers and just like go hang out and do projects for the campers. We do a lot of toys too and just like fun stuff. But there's some kids there that over the years of us being there have got into 3D printing and came up to us last year and be like, yeah, I sell Nerf guns at my school. I made like over $1,000 last semester.
Yeah.
You know, and these are kids who are like 9 who are really good at using 3D printers and are learning how to design and learning all the CAD software at a
Wow.
really young age. And by the time they are adults, they're going to be way better at this stuff
Wow.
than I am. And so I think you'll see a generation in the next 10 or so years who like really grew up with the really good 3D printers that are doing some really cool stuff. So I'm excited.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Should we hop into our fun question?
Yeah.
All right. Hit me.
What is your favorite piece of technology that's come out in the past 10 years?
I mean, I think easily when Bamboo Labs launched, they launched with a printer called the X1.
Okay.
It was about $1,000 and it was a Kickstarter. And 3D printers had a reputation on Kickstarter of being kind of vaporware, like it wouldn't really pan out. This one just I had a feeling about it. And I watched it and pre-ordered it. And I had a few printers before it, but it truly changed the entire 3D printing industry.
Wow.
The next 4 years or 3 years after it came out in 2022, every other company was just catching up. And so when it came out and I set it up at my house and started doing some of these projects, I was like, wow, this is actually feasible now. Whereas before it was like, you could make this stuff. It was doable, but it was some fiddling. You had to, it was a tinkerer's thing, right? You really had to like dial it in and quite a bit of technical knowledge. This truly was like a plug and play sort of deal. And I like fiddling, but sometimes I just want stuff to work.
Yeah.
You know?
I was going to ask you what was the big difference, but it sounds like you had to be a little bit more skill set
Yeah,
for the older
this-
ones, but this one is really
It just kind of did its thing. And to me, that was the moment with Make It. I was like, oh, wow, now the tools are actually getting to the point where like you can actually do some really cool stuff. And you could print not just this, but like carbon fiber materials and materials that are like very strong, like what's called engineering grade materials. You could do that at your house, you know, before you'd have to have that $20,000 machine or something. So to me, I love my original X1. It's at my studio still. I still use it. It's still pressed into surface. I had people sign it over the years, and it's kind of like my showcase machine with stickers all over it. So I have a lot of loyalty to Bamboo Lab. They were kind enough to fly the entire Make Good team out to Frankfurt last month to go to Formnext, which is this world's largest 3D printing conference.
wow.
And we were actually set up in their booth with the chairs and like all this stuff and to put us on the international stage. So like I've been a fan of theirs from the start, and it's really nice that they've turned around and supported us too now. Because we're showing what's possible with the technology.
Right.
A lot of people use the 3D printing for toys and little tchotchkes, which is totally fine
Yeah.
and valid, and I love it too. But they're really powerful machines that can like really change people's lives.
Yeah,
and that's what we want to show.
You can use it for the toys, but also like look at what else if you want to go this
Yeah.
route. What else you can create? Yeah.
Totally.
So I'd say their whole suite of products really changed the game because now you're seeing not only people like me who are like more technical nerds, but like truly regular people like moms of disabled kids are like, I'll buy a printer and learn how to use it, you know, and there's like, they're pretty simple to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the coolest thing I've seen. Yeah.
It's probably the easiest $300 that mom has ever spent.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and then once you're done with the chair, you still have this awesome machine that can make all the toys
Yeah.
you need, you know? And so there's a community of people who are now 3D printing and designing and making in a way that just didn't exist a few years ago, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
What would you pick?
Mine is a lot less cool. I'm not a tech girl. Like I just am so low tech. The only thing that has really blown me away is the Ninja Creamy, the in-home ice
I have
cream
one of those.
machine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not whole life changing, but
Pretty good.
it's pretty good. Yeah, exactly.
Ice cream on demand is
Ice cream on demand is kind of the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the now.
I feel like the Jetsons. You know, we're now current day.
Literally,
Yeah.
exactly. What about you?
I'm gonna go with healthcare related, like healthcare management related products. So like these digital blood pressure machines, like how you can like buy the whole suite of items. So like I have a blood pressure machine and a scale, and like they talk to each other, and like the data's all in one place. And so like I remember my mom having to track my dad's blood pressure on like a piece of paper, and now it's like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just all in my phone. Like
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
That is so much easier.
it's like so yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
That's very
It's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've already given the handles. We've talked about all the ways they can find your designs. Any other way people can support Make Good?
Well, we're run by donations, and we're run by donations and some grants. We don't really sell the stuff for profit. It's really just to give people an avenue to access it. It's really done at cost. So we ask for your donations, fine listeners and viewers. We're very effective with the funds that we do receive from the public. We're designers, so that money goes to supporting our staff to come up with really great designs. That's really what the funding goes to. We're lucky enough to have sponsors for equipment and materials, so all the most of the funding we get goes to do staff and put on trainings and things like that. So that's a big deal for us. Obviously, it's a big deal for any nonprofit. But what the public's funding is really design research, right? That gets released for free for benefit of everybody. I try to draw a bit of a contrast, and it's like design is kind of amorphous in people's minds, you know? But I think of it like this: like there's other disability nonprofits that they buy equipment for people, which is good and needed, but ultimately that money is going to a equipment fabricator, manufacturer. It's going to a commercial company to pay for them to send something. What we're trying to do is work outside that entire system and create equipment and devices that are free for anybody to make. And so the money people give to us goes to the research to create devices like this, so then anybody can
use
do
that.
this.
Right.
And so it's not like we're getting $1,000 from the public and buying 2 chairs for somebody. We're getting $1,000 from the public and making this available for anybody to make, and we put
Wow.
it out there for free too. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a distinction. I just want people to understand that like
Yeah.
it's a different way of thinking about philanthropy and like how to do this work and support the community.
Yeah.
Give a man a fish.
Get out of my. I was about to say that.
Yeah. Give a man
Give
a
a
CAD file.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
That's awesome. Noam, this has been amazing. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you all so much for having me. It means a lot.
Of course. Thanks for listening to Missions Bayou, powered by Comfy Stone. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment, letting us know your thoughts and who you'd like to hear from next. We'll see y'all next time.